I was doing like a guy with a weird jaw. It's one of the first pranks we ever did, the first one. And I have this jaw surgery, and the girl comes in. She goes, "This guy has a little bit of jaw surgery, so don't be alarmed." And I'm like, the craziest apparatus, and the whole thing is like you're auditioning to get a job, and I'm like, and it's insane. And the girl's like, "Okay, I could do that." I'm like, and the girl's like, "Accounting." She's like, accounting. And so before I went out, I'm sitting there in a closet, like, and I'm just thinking, like, this is not what a movie is.
Guys, welcome back to the show. We're here today with the amazing, the illustrious, the multi-hyphenate writer, producer, director, prankster,
Wow.
stand-up comedian,
Wow.
former telemarketer,
Yes.
Jamie Kennedy, and Keita, our producer here. How is telemarketing?
Taught me a lot.
Yeah?
Yeah, because it was, you had to sell a product that you didn't like.
What were you selling?
Toner.
Oh.
For a copy machine. Those people out there might not know what that is.
How do you sell toner? What was so great about
Here's
your
what
toner?
it is. You call.
Yeah.
I would call.
Do it to me. Do it to me. Hello?
Hi, ma'am. This is...
I get that a lot.
This is Phil from Reseda.
Hi, Phil. How you doing? You wouldn't use your name.
No, never use your real name.
What's up, Phil?
Could you just tell me the numbers on the middle of that copy machine in your office?
I don't really have the time for it right now. What's this about?
Oh, it's about the toner that you use. We just need the number so we can make sure we're sending the right shipment.
Okay, it's C5380.
C5380. Thank you so much, ma'am. And one of our representatives will be giving you a call. That's 75 cents to me. So if I got 100 of those in a day, that's $75.
Okay.
I give it to another guy. He upsells you because that was a Canon 305.
So someone else will be calling me.
Yeah, I was
now
the
that you
number
have
grab. I was the lowest of the low. So it was me, strippers, rockabilly wannabe rock stars,
Yes.
comedians,
Yes.
wannabe actors, wannabe comedians, and old ladies.
Did you covet the upper job, or were you happy at the lower job?
I was like, my buddy Barry would pick me up at 5:30. We'd go at 6. We'd get done by 1. If we could make 75 a day, if we made $220 a week, that was incredible.
Yeah.
The rent was $550 in 1994, $530. And so I never thought I'd get out of the numbers. But being a salesperson, you make more money.
What did you sell?
Toner.
Oh, you sold toner.
Are we on the same pod?
I'm
Jesus
getting
Christ. I just did the whole pitch. That would be somebody we would call a hang up.
Those were lean years for you.
Yeah, totally.
I love talking about lean years, especially people that have made it, because it's like, wow,
Bro,
you made it.
It feels like yesterday. Thank you, buddy. I think we're always a work in progress, as you know. But it's like,
well, come on.
No,
yes, we are a work in progress. But listen, I looked up how much money your films have made. $2 billion.
You did?
$2 billion. You're just under $2 billion as an actor, as a writer, as a supporting person, as a director, everything. I added them up. As an actor, you've made over $1 billion.
So you know what's interesting?
Yeah.
By the way, that's very cool that he did that, because people don't understand.
Well, my favorite
miscredit.
guest I've ever had on this podcast is Dane Cook.
Yeah.
And I've had a lot of great people on. I've had Burt Kreischer, I've had Julie Bowen, I've had Phineas, whatever.
Yeah.
But what I loved about Dane Cook was that he went to the absolute top. Mm-hmm. The absolute top. So to get that perspective, to be able to, I've met Tom Cruise for 2 minutes. I didn't get to have a conversation with him.
Yeah.
To talk to you and be like, damn, what a run you did. Malibu's Most Wanted. Scream. The Scream was huge.
Yeah.
It was huge.
Huge.
The show on the WB, the Experiment, was not only huge, but it was funny. Like, those clips hold up.
Yes.
I was watching them this morning.
That you came in for.
Did I?
You don't remember? It's crazy because I don't remember certain things, but I remember you.
I did. I came in.
You came in.
I don't remember.
You came in because at one point we were going to have a group of players.
Yeah.
And so you came in as one of
I
our
remember
players.
that. And then they decided that you could do it all.
They said I could do it, and then we'll just hire people as we go.
And I went back to telemarketing.
But on your one, here's the thing. If you're going to do math, right, first dollar gross, let's say, which is going to be different now, let's say 6%. That would mean if I was responsible for all those movies as $1 billion, that would be 60 million.
Yeah.
And after fees, so people should know this, we bring home roughly 48%.
You what?
So we would have made like 28 million if I was a first dollar grosser.
But you weren't then.
No, I wasn't.
Because the reason you weren't was because you weren't established. You were pretty new, right?
No, I was very new. I did commercials. I'd done some guest spots, and then I started getting
And you just
in.
blew up.
I was lucky. I couldn't get anything, dude. I was fucking literally squatting in an apartment.
It said you auditioned.
What year was that?
93, and then I did a lot of like, cold reading workshops and stuff like that. And I would go to these casting director workshops and paid audition for them, and which were very useful, by the way. They would see you. And then I went overseas. I paid like a couple $1,000s and took an acting class in Shakespeare. And one of the stars of that at the time was an up-and-coming actor by the name of Paul Rudd. He was at this summer. It was like 31 years ago. And I remember because I think he was just on a show on CBS with Pam Dauber, and it was 2 women. And he was like a guest on it a lot. Uh-huh. And then I remember seeing him, and I'm like, that guy's hilarious. I was a young, like in the younger one. And long story short is then from there, I came back to LA, had nothing. My buddy managed an apartment building, had an empty apartment, said you can sit here until it's rented. So I was telemarketing. I was delivering pizzas. I was a massage therapist assistant. I did all types of shit, catering. Wow. And then I got through the clubs. They would have something called New Faces Night, which they really don't have anymore. And there was a night where it was only unknown comedians. Yeah. And the industry would come out and say, who's here? Yeah. So you get 3 minutes. And then from there, I got my first commercial agent.
Go ahead.
Was that your first stint with stand-up?
No, I've been doing stand-up since 1990. And I kept bombing, but I was like, I don't know. I just couldn't go and audition for something and wait. Like, I didn't understand that life.
Right.
And the brain doesn't stop. And we didn't have this. We did, but you'd have to take it, analog it, download it, bait it. You'd have to get 17 tapes to get this going.
Yes.
So I was like, I got to do something. So my buddy's like, you should try open mics. There was a paper called Dramalog, and that's had listings of jobs and all types of stuff, and it had open mics. And so you'd sign up. And so I did that, and I would bomb. And I would not do it for 2 weeks, and I'd bomb, and I'd not do it for 2 weeks, and I'd bomb. And then I was like, this is not, I shouldn't do this. But I couldn't stop thinking about it. And, you can't quote him anymore, but Bill Cosby said, you will never do stand-up comedy. It'll do you. And coming from him, it'll do you is a weird statement. But it's... And Shatner said the same thing. The internet, if you want to act, it will take over you. So that's what it did.
Keita said that Keita films you a lot. He said that you are really all about the hecklers when you go up now, like recently. Is that true?
I see everyone has a different hook, and it's like crowd work is new to the masses, but we've known it since, comedy it's one of the things you do, or impressions or characters. Yeah. But I did a movie called Heckler.
Yeah, I know. Michael Addis.
Yes.
Yeah, friend of mine.
Great guy. Yeah. One of my boys. And we experienced this whole thing, and I get heckled a lot. Yeah. I get heckled a ton, and I thought...
Do you get heckled more than somebody else?
I think so.
Yeah.
Here's why. What are you going to say? Go ahead.
But here's the thing, though. I have seen you get heckled a lot, but I've also seen you come up to me many a time and go, hey, Keita, where's the hecklers?
Yeah, well, that's always good to put that out there. Just put the secrets out. No, because I don't. because I don't want to do a Malibu's Most Wanted joke again. You know what I mean? I don't want to do my jokes.
Yeah.
I'd rather something fresh. The problem with stand-up comedy is it's stand-up expectationally, meaning I want to go up there for 20 minutes and do whatever I want. But there's this stupid thing where people have to program that they may have to laugh. And if they don't laugh, you suck. And so like last night, you know, I'm doing a show at the Improv. I like to close and I only had to do 20 minutes. And so like last night, I literally followed Dane. He destroyed. Then I got to go up and then Craig Robinson's closing it and he destroys. So I got to go in, do my funny and be funny to keep up with the Joneses. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But if it's
Which is annoying in a way.
Well, it's cool. I mean, yeah, but it's like, I mean, you're playing with the best of the best, but it's like, I wish I could like try a new bit here, but it's a sold out crowd that you want to keep the show going. And it's like someone like him booking it and it's like the club's happy, everyone's happy. But when it's a smaller show and you have time to stretch, I don't want to do my stuff.
Yeah.
I'd rather see what's up. But I do get a lot of hecklers, and I think it's because, here's the thing, I could never not have a critic. I thought about this. It's literally because I just push back on things. I could literally play the fucking middle of the road, never say shit, delete social media, and just be a person who just goes along with it, auditions for a game show host, you know, do a couple guest spots. Hopefully one of my independents blows up, you know, try to get 2 lines in a Marvel and work your way through there. I mean, I'm not saying I'm not opposed to that, but it's like the world is so insane, and comedy, in my opinion, is the most important art form right now. And you tell me, if I'm lying. Rock stars are not it. They're done.
Yeah.
They're bought and sold 100%. Comedians are the only ones pushing back, in my opinion. Our actors.
I think a big reason why, too, and I talk about this a lot with other comics, there's no art medium that's better suited for social media than comedy.
Right.
Like if you think about it, like to get to the punchline of a song is the bridge, right?
Yeah.
It takes a minute to 2 minutes to get to that part of a song. No one watches the 2-minute clip or even a minute clip.
Right.
But a punchline in comedy it can come in 3 seconds.
Yep.
Right?
That's a good point.
Yeah, but it's also just like rock stars are being annoying. Do you know what I'm saying?
I could really go. I love my rock stars. I mean, like,
do you?
But I don't love them on social media.
Bro, they're falling. Come on, Neil Young pushing
He's 80
back.
years old, Jamie.
I know, buddy was saying, take me off Spotify.
He's 80 years old.
He was like, fuck them in.
Neil Young can walk in anywhere and play 2 chords, and the crowd goes insane.
I know, but what I'm saying is the people that were supposed to push back against the man now.
Well, I agree. It's an important art form. He just said he saw you do a set one night. You had 25 minutes, and you spent 22 heckling one guy. Is that true?
Heckling?
Not heckling, but a guy heckled
Which
you.
one?
Roosevelt, like a year ago.
He said you picked on somebody for 22 minutes, which is hilarious.
No, he didn't.
You better
he didn't
show
get it right.
correctly. You got to pick.
Which I think is hilarious.
I never pick on anyone.
Not pick on, but somebody that heckled you, and you spent the 22 minutes talking to the guy.
They shoot at me.
Yeah.
I don't fuck with them, but if they shoot, I give them warnings. Yeah. I'm actually the most gentlest guy.
And the best way to describe it, have you ever seen a cat playing with a mouse?
Yes.
Sure.
That's Jamie. And in this show in particular, and Gary Robinson and I and Jimmy, it was one of Jimmy Shin's shows at the Roosevelt. We were laughing our fucking asses off. We were at the back of the room. We were like, remember, it was the guy in the front row.
Which one?
And it was one of those veteran shows. And I don't know what he said to you, but he was fucking with you. And you just went in and out. And I mean, your whole set. And at one point, so like 10 minutes in, it just resolved, and you did like 3 seconds. I think you did your monkeypox bit, and then went right back into him.
But he was pretty drunk, right? And I kept going, and he kept interrupting. So I don't remember what I did, but I do remember that was a lot.
It was really cool.
But I'm never mean unless they're just mean. But no one's really ever mean.
No, you weren't mean that night. To be very clear, you weren't mean, but you were playing. you were very delicately playing with his heckle,
That's
and it
funny.
lasted for 23 minutes.
That's hilarious.
Most comedians like want to decimate a heckler. I don't.
Yeah.
It's like you have to gauge where they're at.
You made that movie heckler because of the reviews of Son of the Mask, right? Is that true?
At least half of it.
Yeah. So the reviews come in for this movie. The movie, I don't know what you thought of the movie. I never saw it, but
Thanks.
and
Come to my garage, do my pod.
I didn't see Son of the Mask. I watched Jamie Kennedy Experiment every episode.
Preach.
Scream, I've
You're
seen.
not gonna see everything,
Not
guys.
the most wanted. I can't.
You're
I'm
not
not
gonna
gonna
see everything.
Guys, I'm not gonna see everything.
He's busy
I'm not
watering
gonna
these
see
plants.
everything.
Go ahead.
So, anyways, and so you like a sensitive guy? Does a bad review?
Am I sensitive?
Yeah. Does a bad review bum you out?
There's,
Because I am. I know I am.
of course you're sensitive.
Yeah, of course.
You're sensitive.
Sure, a bad comment will ruin my day. I
All
love people.
artists. Bill Maher in Heckler says you have to be sensitive to be good.
Oh yeah.
Would you
That's a
think
great
Bill
line.
Maher is?
Oh, that's a great line.
Yeah, I mean,
Wow, what a great line.
yeah.
That's really good.
Because we have to take everything in,
Yeah.
and then we have to put it through our process, and then put it out.
Right.
So you're not real. You're a guy on the internet.
Right.
I'm not real. I'm Randy from Scream, or I'm B-Rad, and I'm blessed.
Yeah.
But at that time, I was just thinking about this on the way over. It's so weird, dude. We're connected. The movie cost $75 million to make. It made almost $75 million back. A lot of it overseas.
Great.
It was considered a bomb. It wasn't the movie that we made. The director's incredible. He could easily be in the Marvel universe. The visuals, all the stuff, but the studio took it away. No offense, New Line, it's not even there anymore, and they changed the whole thing. It was a PG-13. Imagine a movie about a guy who's scared to get his wife pregnant, and the foibles of raising a newborn is a comedy in itself.
Yeah.
And then the newborn has these powers of the supernatural. So it was like a cool idea.
Yeah.
And so characters and all this stuff. The movie didn't turn out the way we wanted it. But it's funny because I know of other actors that have had bomb movies, they still get shots. That 75 to 75 is not great, but at least it made a number back what was spent.
Yes.
So that, when it came out, the reviews were fucking terrible. The tomato was just being born. It was maybe 1.3% positive. It was, and it
Jamie,
wasn't.
I'm laughing because I made 2 movies and they have
you know
horrible ratings.
Well,
I mean, the reviews are awful on the 2 movies that I made. So,
but
I'm only laughing because I'm like,
No, I'm with you.
I feel you.
But it's almost been 20 years. It's like I
Sure,
gotta get over.
sure,
it.
sure.
But I've learned so much. But it's the movies. The ratings were the reviews were horrible. And shout out New York Times. No matter how left leaning or biased you might be at times, they are the last. Like Janet Maslin, if she's still alive, God bless her. She was like she reviewed Jackass, and she's like, Mr. Knoxville and crew. Like, they're the most, she was like, Mr. Kennedy comes into this movie. Like, they're so respectful. It was the last bastion of art, critiquing art, right? Whatever you believe it is.
Yeah.
But at this time, Jason, do you remember, because I know you do, blogspot.com?
Yeah.
Okay. Everybody all of a sudden had a voice. So the studio was like, we got to get with the online and you got to talk with these bloggers. You know what a blog is? I'm like, a blob? They're like, a blog. And it's a vlog. And I'm like, what? And this was before YouTube. And I was talking to wafflemovie.com and, mowmygrass.net and whatever. And they were fucking murdering me. Here I am making millions of dollars starring in a movie, and they fucking hated my guts. So that took it. And I was fascinated. The whole arc of the movie is that the heckler used to be the most vile thing in live entertainment. It was like, you heckle, like have some decorum. And back in Shakespeare's time that I've read, they would throw things like tomatoes and fruit and stuff. What it became was really a love letter to the actual heckler and their bravery, and how online critiques in newspapers became personal.
Yeah.
The New York Times was the last non-personal, but the other papers would talk shit. Like they'd be like, not only should Jamie Kennedy not have been in this movie, Jamie Kennedy's mother's uterus should be shut down for business for giving, like and then like blogs, forget it. They would go crazy. And then people don't understand. We never had feedback. Yeah. Amazon, we bought a product, we didn't talk about it. Yeah. But people, if you buy a toaster off Amazon, you don't go, this toaster's fucking family sucks and they should never be able to toast. Like, so yeah, it fucking got to me, bro.
And we have our first clip.
And the world is so, no one understands it wasn't like that.
Yeah.
It wasn't like that.
No.
So I'm a great example of a mix to a mix. Jack Nicholson's one error, you never got him. And then there's, let's say your partner or David Dobrik, he's the new error.
Yeah.
And then there's guys like me in between.
Yeah. You were in Dead Poet Society. That was your first one, right?
Yes, I was in Extra.
Incredible movie.
Thank you.
What how many weeks were you there?
Crazy story. So I was just out of high school.
Yeah. You grew up in like Kentucky or something?
Philly, but close.
Close, yeah.
Loves his research. He knew I telemarketed. You're from Botswana.
Did you have humble beginnings?
Humble?
Yeah. Like your family?
Not crazy, not poor. I had a single house.
All right.
Outside of Philly. I worked at Domino's.
Okay.
And I loved it. Like I actually, if I wasn't such a narcissist and I didn't get feedback from people telling me some positive things, I would have just stayed delivering pizzas.
Yeah.
I loved it. One night I made $97 in tips as an 18-year-old. That's a lot of money in 1988.
Yeah. Sure.
And I was making $7 an hour, $6, whatever I was making. And
bucks.
so, and at the end of the night, I had my little shift manager. She was so sweet. She'd give me a pizza and we'd drink a 6-pack. We'd split a 6-pack of Old Milwaukee. And it was like, it was 3 days a week and I was killing it. And I was getting very doughy. But what I learned is that I could get the tips based on my personality. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I did that. I was like, I don't even know what acting is. I mean, people act like they know what they're talking about. Like, I never knew anything. I just knew I loved movies. I loved John Hughes movies. I loved stand-up comedy. I didn't know you could do it. I didn't know you could act. And I loved the 80s. I loved everything but the 80s. I loved Robert Downey Jr. I loved all of that, right? It was like my dream. I loved Chips.
Right.
I loved Three's Company. And so my friend's mom was a local, like pretty known actress, and she would do plays at a big theater in downtown. She had like respect. And she did what we call, as you know, a regional for Jiffy Lube. And she did it with Bill Berge, who was a big linebacker for the Eagles. And regionals only wins in your area. So long story boring, she said, I'm going to be in a movie and I'm going to be a featured background. And I said, what is that? And she goes, I might be able to get you on. She goes, and she was like a nice lady, but like kind of had an English accent, but shouldn't have had it. You know what I'm saying? Like an American. She's like, atmosphere, darling. And I'm like,
aren't you from
background?
Philly?
And she's like, background fill in. And I'm like, extra? She's like, we don't say that. And I'm like, oh, extra? An extra? She's like, yeah, because I had known about it because Michael Keaton filmed a movie years ago near my parish called Clean and Sober.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it's a great movie.
That was 2 parishes over. So we were all like watching it on our bikes. Went down, never did anything in my life.
Yeah.
They said, will you cut your hair? She got me a meeting with the second AD. Yes. Do you have a sweater that's sleeveless? Yes. Do you have a tie like this? Do you have 3 different days of clothes? Yes. You'll be making $60 a day. Do you agree? Yes. Show up tomorrow at 4:30 a.m. Boom.
You're in the business.
Go the next day with her. I drive. I'm literally within 2 hours. They're told me I can eat from this table called craft service. Grab a baby carrot. Robin Williams is over there. Other baby carrot doing John Wayne impressions.
Wow. And how many weeks did you do that for?
I did it for 3 days.
3 days.
And it was like divine intervention. It was like, I remember an older gay man, a middle-aged black lady, a couple of high school kids, like all different, a Chinese woman. Like it was literally the UN of people and sexualities. That's why I laugh about all this stuff with gender, because it's like we've been it's been here our whole life if you're on a set. Yeah. And they were just talking and hipping me to the business. And I'm like, can you make a living at this? And they're like, well, yeah, this is what you have to do. You have to have a wardrobe. That was the first thing. You have to let them know your avails. And then you have to get a beeper. And then, and so once I did it, I got back to Domino's and I told my boss, I'm like, I'm moving to LA. And she's like, why? And I'm like, because I think I can be an extra. So I moved to LA to be an extra. That's all I ever wanted to do.
And you took a pay cut.
To be an extra.
Yeah,
you're right.
75 down to 60.
No, I think it was like $58 a day, but then they told me about overtime, golden time, platinum time. Then they told me if the actor looks at you and they cut to your face, it's more. Like I learned all of this stuff. And so I was fascinated, and I said, I'll move to LA for a year. If I can't here's the thing is, my expectations were not managed. I had none. So I'm the opposite of everyone else. So I said, I'll give myself a year. If I can't be just background in anything, then maybe I'll quit. And then if I do that, I'll give myself another year. And then I said, I'll give myself 10 years if I get a line. Because I had nothing.
Yeah.
And everyone was going to college, and I was like, what are you going to do with that degree? Like,
that's what I said to my son when I left him last week.
How old is he?
He's 18.
You have an 18-year-old kid, and where'd you leave him?
Columbia in New York.
Oh my God!
I left him Sunday.
Are you paying?
Yeah. That's why you're here. If I wasn't, I don't think I'd be seeing you today.
Are we the same age? You probably younger. Okay.
I'm a couple years younger.
So you have an 18-year-old son. Oh, you're married.
I got remarried in January.
Okay, congratulations.
Yeah, second marriage. Yeah, it's good.
So do you feel, not to turn it around on you,
please,
college? Is he going for what degree, or you don't know?
We don't know. Well, he's a musician. It's an odd situation because it's like he's super smart, but he wants to be a musician.
Yeah.
So I guess he's just going for like general education, and then he'll take some music classes. But he has a band in New York, and he'll be fine.
How long do you think he joins a protest?
We were there at Columbia. They were literally
it was intense.
There was literally a protest for about 2 hours.
Yeah,
while we were there. Yeah. So okay, so at the height of it, you do Malibu's Most Wanted. That's a huge success, right? Mm-hmm. Swardson wrote that, right?
He was
one of the
me
writers.
And him. Yeah, Nick came to my house. He said, I see your character. I have an idea for a movie, and then we started working on it. It was incredible.
Did you have the character already?
I had the character.
Yeah.
And I told Nick I want to do a movie, and he at the end of the weekend said, I think I have a movie. I think I know how to put your character in a movie. And he came to my house.
Yeah.
I had something like this. Yeah. And he stayed there, and I gave him beer. He liked beer.
Uh-huh.
And he fucking left and came back 3 days later with like 10 pages, and they were fucking hilarious. And that's how it started.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So you go and you sell it. And had Scream happened yet?
Scream had already been done.
Right.
So
right. You were kind of hot.
So very hot.
Yeah.
I did Scream. I did Enemy of the State. I did Bowfinger.
Oh, Bowfinger, yeah.
And then I was like, had stop and starts of trying to get my own movie. Robert Simons, the huge producer.
Big comedy producer, yeah.
And he was the guy that gave everybody their first comedy solo in town. Yeah. So I was, this close to getting my own solo multiple times. Mm-hmm. And then it kept getting stalled. So then, your agents throw you to TV, but you're like, doing it. I'm doing movies, but they, they dollar sign you out. And a couple pilots didn't go. I had many holding deals, amazing money. And then
what's a holding deal pay?
Well, my first one ever was...
Well, you explain to people what a holding deal is.
Okay, so here's what a holding deal is. A holding deal is where I go to New Faces night, and I can tell you exactly how this used to be. So you should think about this as a young comedian. So this is literally 30 years ago. I remember this happened. I'm living in a box off of right between Crescent and Fairfax, my fountain right there. I go to New Faces night. There's a woman from Universal. She's seen my tape. She's seen me. She wants to see me in a great crowd. Maria, thank you for my first deal. I go and I do 8 minutes, packed crowd at the Improv, and I think I had a pretty good set. Gary Owen, I think Steve McGrew, a lot of comics that you know now. I got a deal for $25,000 to hold me for 6 months. So, which is good money now. Yeah. So what is that? Is that like something like $4,000 a month, right? And change. And it's basically to hold you. So I go to Universal every week. I would take meetings. They could use me on a guest spot of something if they thought I fit, but they can't jam you in. They got to talk to the production and
Do they
producers.
work you against the money they paid? So in other words, if you get on Ghost Whisperer or whatever, you have to, do they?
No,
you get to keep the 25.
Yeah, you get to keep the 25.
Right.
And after your agents and managers, everything, it's like, 12.5, whatever. It's still great when you're broke.
Yeah.
And I took a ton of meetings, developing an idea, because at the time the sitcom was the king and comedians were the stars of them. So it was like Tim Allen was, the biggest star in the world. So it was like, and Roseanne and everyone. So they're looking for that, Brett Butler. So they would try to develop ideas with me. We would write some stuff and they would look for guest spots. I don't think I ever did a guest spot, but they paid me to hold my services. And when it's done, they look and then they either extend you or not. And I think after 6 months I was done. They didn't want to renew. And then Comedy Central got me, and they gave me a 2 thing where I did what we call interstitials. And then they paid me to do these little tape, funny things for a minute that would play between shows. And then from there, I got a big holding deal. MTV did a pilot. I made $15,000 for that. Didn't go.
Yeah.
But then I started getting all the movies and stuff. Then after the movies, the holding deals, I had my first holding deal was at Fox, and that was for $500,000.
Ooh.
And that was for a year. And it was like, I was doing so well, making so much money. I just thought, okay, this is going to grow on trees. So it was literally, I went and got the money, bought a house, and they paid me so I auditioned for Family Guy 5 times. They didn't get it. I did Sean Patrick. Oh God, I'm so sorry. Not Sean Patrick. Doogie Howser. I'm in my 50s. Don't get mad.
Oh, Doogie Howser, Neil Patrick Harris.
Neil Patrick Harris. I apologize. I did an episode of his show he had on. It was so I did a few episodes of Fox. Had a meeting with Greg Daniels, the creator of The Office. Yeah. Did an episode.
Did you audition for The Office?
Of King of the Hill. No, that was after me. Oh, right. So he was already doing other stuff at Fox. So I met with all their big showrunners. Yeah. And then that died. Yeah. And then the WB came, and then they gave me another holding deal. So I was being held for years. Right. So you couldn't do anything. You were in their fiefdom. So it was great money. Yeah. So I started playing golf. and I didn't get any better, but I would go to Roosevelt all the time and play golf. And I'm like, I gotta get a TV show.
Wait, let's stop there. That's an interesting place to be. Golden Handcuffs.
Dude, I love that you say that.
It's such an interesting place to be because, okay, you're getting paid, but you're not really getting to showcase who you are and show your stuff.
So if someone wanted to do an independent film with you during that time, you couldn't do it?
No, that's different.
I'll tell you that. So what you just said was fascinating. So it is golden handcuffs. It's a great term, dude.
Yeah. And I was married to a woman who made a lot of money, and we called it golden handcuffs.
Hence the fern. So I was meeting the tops of the tops at Fox, who was under their fiefdom, and if it worked, it worked, and if it didn't, it didn't. But I was getting the opportunities.
You keep using the word fiefdom.
Yeah, well, because everything is their own fiefdom.
It is a fiefdom.
And then
I love that word.
If it didn't happen, I couldn't go to ABC.
No.
It was a different world. There was no socialness. Everybody was like, this was our talent. Get the fuck away.
Yeah.
And so that was it. So the only thing you could do is, like you said, independence and clubs. And the clubs would put me up, but it was on a weekend just to like part of the tickets, like selling tickets because I was already known. Yeah. So the New Faces, I wasn't in that, and I wasn't selling enough to sell out. So I was just a guy doing. I could be funny, but they already knew I was funny.
Yeah.
So it really, you understand it? I was literally just in a spot, right? And I didn't have enough time to do colleges. I did get an independent, went in for a smaller role. They re-auditioned me for the lead. I got it, and that was another great amount of money. And that went to like Cinemax.
What movie was that?
It was called Seduced, and it premiered at like.
What do you get for a movie?
It premiered at like 4 a.m. on Skinemax.
Okay.
It was a movie that was an erotic thriller, but then became much more erotic. It was my first butt shot.
Did you have scenes?
I wore a cock sock. It was covered, but the sock doesn't really work.
Like it's covered, but it droops.
Yeah,
so you
all
can
of
see
that stuff. In the shower, it was the water wasn't warm. You know what I'm saying? It's different.
Yeah, is that tough to have a love scene?
Well, that one was because it was the guy who I love is my buddy. Became buddies with.
What was the gay scene?
No, it was his wife.
Oh, it was his wife.
So he was the producer, and his wife was, and she's beautiful, and I'm wearing a fucking pantyhose, cock sock, in a shower, and silhouette, and he's like, and I'm 29 years old, and
he's calling action.
No, he wasn't, but he was. But he was great, and everyone was good. But I was known for comedy, and so.
Yeah.
But long story boring, going back to the Golden Handcuffs, is I was making a ton of money, had a house, it was great, no social media, but what do? You figure out how to have fun. That's about it.
Yeah.
And you try to be creative. That's why I was writing with Nick and trying to just stack ideas.
And so when the WB comes to you, you probably said to yourself, oh shit, none of these sitcoms have worked. Let me try a prank show. Is that what happened?
That's a deeper convo. I'm going to try to give it to you simply. Tell me if I'm talking too much.
No, you're the guest.
I talked about my pod how I auditioned for SNL and one of my first girlfriends ever. That's where we met at the audition for SNL. It was Molly Shannon.
Yeah.
And it was Sarah Silverman was on, or Janine Garofalo was on, and she only stayed like a half a year. Yep. And then they were looking for a new female, but I got in somehow. I was, female before it was cool. And so I didn't get it, but I had all of these characters that I would do. I didn't really have stand-up per se. I would get on stage, do a character, have a couple jokes in there, and I would do like 6 characters in my routine. I remember getting off, being done. Are you all right, bro? You're breathing heavy.
Yeah.
He's like,
I'm excited about this.
He goes,
it's exciting.
He is a big star, and you're sitting right next to him.
We've hung many times. Huge star. So, long story, I remember getting out on Sunset, and it was like 30 years ago almost, because it was like April of 94, and I didn't get SNL, and I just stood there, and it was like potluck night. Because before SNL, I was getting a please allow Jamie Kennedy 5 minutes. Please allow Jamie Kennedy 6 minutes. And once I didn't get SNL, those please allows went away. So I literally was back at potluck, and I'm sitting at potluck, and it's like fucking 1 a.m. and I'm waiting for my name to be called. I'm like, what the fuck am I going to do? Like, because that was my goal. Sure. And boom. Long story, like I said, I got commercials and a little road before it happened, but I started getting acting in a different way.
Yeah.
Cut to 7 years later, I had all these characters, and I do some impressions, and the head of the WB's first show was Muscle, kind of didn't last, but it did like a half a season. It was in a gym. The second one, the Wayans brothers might have been the first one, and that went all the way. And then I think Harlan had Simon. It was like the first 3 sitcoms that they had. So they were looking for young talent. They never. You remember, dude? Everything was Matlock. There was no like young programming.
No.
So Sarah Michelle Gellar and David Boreanaz, these guys birthed young programming, right? Along with the Wayans and Harlan and everybody. So this is what's wild about this business that we just don't have anymore, is that the president of the WB was Suzanne Daniels, who eventually became the president of YouTube, and she's a wife of Greg Daniels. Okay, so she was an executive. He's a producer, writer. And her co-president was Jordan Levin. And Jordan Levin had come up through the ranks as a development executive, and he had always come to the clubs. He loved comedy. And I took a meeting with him one day. My agents got me in, and he says, you know, you're really funny when you bomb. And I was like, what? He's like, yeah. He's like, the crowd never gets you. You get so mad, and then the real you comes out. And he goes, it's hilarious. And he's like, you don't hear me laughing? And I was like, is that you? Like, I would go and audition for Comedy Central, bomb, audition for, and bomb. I followed Rodney Dangerfield, bomb, like all of this stuff. And it was him. And that was a true visionary. It was an artist friend, you know what I mean? It was an executive. He wasn't a bean counter. He was an artist who happened to wear a tie. Yeah. And he's like, I know you've done movies. I know you don't, because no one knows this other side of you. They don't know your stand-up. They don't know your characters. So he said, what do you want to do? And I said, I always want to do SNL, but they had a show. You know this show. And it was with Michael Roof, who has passed away, God rest his soul, who was named Chicken. Yeah. And Chicken was a huge thing in 2000. He was this huge comic bolt of lightning. And another.
Oh, yes. That was the guy who he had one audition at like Montreal. Yes. And he walked away with like a $500,000 development deal, right? Chicken.
It might have been $750. Yeah. He went to Montreal, murdered. He was from Florida.
Yes.
And everyone's like, get me Chicken. Chicken. And he was hilarious.
I remember this.
And he would go in. He never knew what he was going to do. He would take the audience out.
I never saw him. What was his routine?
I don't know. I don't know. And
nobody knows.
And we're not talking Ill of the Dead. God rest his soul. But he was a phenomenon. Yes. He was a lightning in the bottle. And I don't know, like he might go into the audience. He might do an impression. He might take the audience to Carl's Jr. Whatever he did, it was like this legendary thing.
Right.
You never knew what he was going to do. He destroyed. And I forget the name of it, but it wasn't Punk'd, but it was like a one word, like bam, like that type of show. And it was had many great people on it, but one of them was the great Frank Caliendo.
Oh, so good.
A master. So those guys, and then they had another guy, a guitar guy, and I forget your name, buddy, Steve. I forget your last name, but he's brilliant. So there was a lot of amazing performers. And I was like, you have to understand at the time. So you had Jackass was killing it. And I wasn't like, I was doing movies, dude. So I had done amazing movies. And I was the best friend in like 4 movies to be huge stars. And I'm like, this is my route, And then What Woman Won, I went like 4 times to be Mel Gibson's best friend. And like, I was so close. And they said to my face, they go, we don't know what you're doing, but we like it. I'll never forget it. And they said, but it's not right? I love that, how honest they were. They go, it's not right, but I like it. And so Anthony Hopkins on that movie he did, they were like, I like what you're doing, but it's not. So they didn't know what to do with me. Right. And I was like, how much? And then I went from Mission to Mars, and I was like so close to getting that role. And Jerry O got it. It was Val Kilmer. So I was like the friend of the star, which was the thing. So then I tried to get my own movie. Like I said, Little Commies, that was hitting a roadblock. So TV. I go and I see Jackass, how they're blowing up because of TV. They kidnapped Brad Pitt at a Pink's, and that was like viral before viral. Yeah. I see Tom Green. He's literally his own thing. He does many things. Yeah. He's blowing up. And someone else at the time, And so I'm like, what's my niche? And I was like, he's like, we already got our SNL. And I'm like, well, I want to prove to people I'm a great actor. So I said, I love Candid Camera. And he's like, start there. Wow. And so that's literally how we came up with it. But what I did was I got blessed because he said, I want you to do a prank for the upfronts. Now, the upfronts, as you know, is where TV goes and dances out
new shows.
It's new shows along with its stalwarts. And they go to Unilever and say, can we have $1 billion? And that's where each network says, we raised $6 billion and we're going to put it against, Sister Wives and whatever, right?
Yeah. They sell advertising for the year. Right?
100%.
Yeah.
And it's a huge thing.
Jimmy Kimmel will go for ABC and he'll host it.
Colbert.
And they'll show the shows, and then everybody's there, Procter and Gamble, and they're like, we'll put this much money
1000%.
here, blah, 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 blah. It's every fall.
CEOs.
Yeah.
So he's like, I have a big buy with Pepsi. And Jamie Kellner, who just passed away, God rest his soul, who was I think Jordan and Suzanne ran it, and he was like the overseer of the WB. He said, we want to do a prank on this guy's kid. And I think the guy was a high executive at Pepsi or Coke, one of them. And it was basically me in the room, and he's like, just listen. And they said I was somebody's kid. No, they said I was the kid of like this huge soda magnate and whatever. So I was somebody big, and I was like, you got to get back to what Coke was. Let's put the Coke in the Coke and, ketamine. And I did all this prank.
Yeah.
And it was like just a test tape in a room, easy to produce. They played it at the upfronts. It destroyed.
No.
So that literally you could say was my pilot.
Wow.
Jordan says, let's go. Let's do 7 episodes. I'll put you under an alternative budget. We literally met at Morton's in Burbank. He's like, boom, boom, boom. Can you do it for this? I'm like, well, I don't know. Then he hooked me up with the producers of Mad TV, and then they totally shaped the show. And the rest is history. But literally on a napkin, bro, over a bottle of fucking Duckhorn. And it was like, boom, boom. It was like, he's like, I got this much in alternative money. Transparent.
Yeah.
I got the lot. I got Sarah shooting over here. I got Angel shooting over there. I got Dawson's over here. You can be here.
Yep.
It was like a homie.
Yes,
And to this day, I owe him so much.
And would you get nervous before you do the pranks? Because it seems like really high pressure.
I love his questions. You know why? Because we're very similar, bro.
Because I've done some pranks, and I shit my pants.
What?
Before. But then
that's a whole other thing.
And you know what place I go to, Jamie? I go, all right, you got kids, let's go. The whole other thing. They're making you up. Jay, you ready?
Everybody says
I'm ready. And I just think about my kids, and I can just do it.
Everyone says that YouTube owes me a residual.
Yeah.
But then I hear they're fake, which pisses me off, and a
lot of them are.
Which is really, that's so annoying. I could say many things. That's like, mine was never like that. Here's what happened. When I did my first prank, it was in like Van Nuys, and I was doing like a guy with a weird jaw. It's one of the first pranks we ever did, the first one. And I have this jaw surgery, and the girl comes in. She goes, this guy has a little bit of jaw surgery, so don't be alarmed. And I'm like, the craziest apparatus. And the whole thing is like, you're auditioning to get a job. And I'm like, and it's insane. And the girl's like, okay, I could do that. I'm like, and the girl's like, accounting? She's like, accounting. And so before I went out, I'm sitting there in a closet like, and I'm just thinking like, I was like, this is not what a movie is. I'm sitting in a closet in Van Nuys with a jaw thing, and I'm like,
it's not.
I'm 30 years old, and I'm like, I just ruined my career.
It's not acting.
This is not a movie. This is not, Tony Scott's not giving me direction.
No.
I'm like, I got to go out and, hopefully fool this Latina woman, and hopefully. And it was just wild.
Courtney Cox isn't here.
No. And once I did it and the laughs were so crazy, because I knew my goal. My goal was to become a comedy name.
Yeah.
And so it, to his credit, Jordan let us breathe in our own thing. That's what they say. Seinfeld was born from the alternative programming of NBC. So
yeah.
So he, once we played it back, I was like, wow, and it was on. I went from being a guy that you may have seen in something to Jamie Kennedy.
Was there ever a prank where you got yourself in trouble and the cops came and you couldn't use it, or anything like that? Or you got hit and someone attacked you, or
a couple. One, the angriest. Here, we did something in like PV, Palos Verdes, and it just gets a little gangster down there. And I was buying, I'll never forget, I rang the guy up, and I kept ringing the crab leg up, and I go, ring, 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 ring. And the guy's like, hey, I need my fucking cigarettes. And I'm like, let me ring your crab leg up. And I was like, ring. He's like, that's 4 fucking legs. That's 1 fucking leg. And this guy was like methed out. He's like, hey. And the fucking guy took the fucking crab leg and threw it at me. A frozen fucking snow crab. And I avoided it. That could have been bad. He did not sign.
Right.
Brookside Golf Course, shout out Pasadena, the second angriest person ever are golfers. They put me in the foursome. The one guy didn't know. Everyone else was in on it. I was rapping in the guy's backswing. I was commenting on his ball size. His ball had dimples, all this shit. And he says, don't fucking talk. Don't fucking talk to me. Don't fucking talk to me on my backswing. Whatever. At the end of it, he fucking threw the fucking club at me. It's a putter. They're heavy. He did not sign. Those are the only two. A meth head from PV and a guy from Brookside. And then I was part of a class action lawsuit.
Oh, no.
Which was pretty fascinating. Gloria Allred, ambulance chaser. And I'll say that. I was on 2020, though, so it was press. And it was punked. It was scare tactics. It was me. It was something. It was like 5 shows, and they go, it's the era of gotcha TV. And the whole thing, and I was interviewed for it. Yeah. It was basically the argument was, which isn't a terrible argument, but that people should have 72 hours to sign because they're traumatic. Now, I know there's a lot of shows that fuck people up. I never did that. I think I prided myself on being a sweet guy. Yeah. And the joke was always about the joke, never them. I was never making them look dumb, in my opinion.
Well, you can say that because only 2 people wouldn't sign after all those pranks that you did.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sure you did hundreds.
Well, we did hundreds. And so yes, but I mean, I had it down, bro. We had 2, young, pretty women, and they come in and they go, hi, Jason, how are you? Come this way. Here's a coffee. Here's a thing. So you're on a TV show, and here's what happens. And they're like, one's putting the pen in, and she's all cutie, and the other goes like, here, would you like a pair of sneakers? And here's a headshot of Jamie Stein, and picture, and you're like, what? So, I mean, it's a little bit of a work. Yep. But there's a lot worse works. Yeah. And at the end of the day, we never had any problems. Right. And you're going to be on TV. But yes, that was a class action lawsuit. I think they get paid the person off. It was like enough where they're asking for millions, and then they just go, okay, and they take 100,000 and go away. Type deal. But Gloria Allred wanted to make that a big deal.
Yeah.
But that was, dude, the birth of, think about it, the Real World was the OG.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Like, I was thinking about it. I was like, that was the OG. Bachelor was the OG. Mm-hmm. American Idol's the OG. Fear Factor's the OG. Mm-hmm. Tom Green's the OG. So it's like the reality was becoming what this is morphed into now, but it was like real people getting in on the Hollywood game, and they started becoming things. So that's why I think mine kind of worked, because you could be part of it. It was a funny character. It was a wild scenario. It was escapism, but also real people were involved. Mm-hmm. And it was, dude, I love the 90s, but I love the early 2000s to mid 2000s just as much.
Wow.
Because you know how fun it was.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm curious about social media and getting online and social media with your background. How has your transition... Talk about your transition into this new media.
Yeah, and what do you think of, like, the fact that you did the Jamie Kennedy experiment before anybody else, before the internet, and then now when you go on TikTok, and what do you think of, like, media and stuff, and I guess your place in it too? What Keto wanted to know.
Well, I don't watch a lot of the pranks, and some of these guys I hear they're making the money and all this shit. I don't know. The fact that they're fake is words that I want to say that I can't say. Do you know what I'm saying? It's just lame.
Right.
It's like fake. Are you kidding me? Like that was our whole thing. We prided it on sure, we used cutaways, but they were cutaways to real reactions.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we were real. Mm-hmm. I put on the makeup. I really went to whatever the place is, Maggiano's. Yeah. And I would really get on a scooter as an old man and bump your table, and they would really film that reaction in real time. It was a 1-to-1. It wasn't bullshit. So, and a lot of the pranks now are just, they're bad. Am I wrong?
I haven't seen any pranks in a while.
All right,
sure.
well, no, but
I'm sure they're bad. I mean, I don't know. I'm sure there's some good ones too.
We took so much time. We detailed it. We made it. Our pranks could have been 30 minutes.
Yeah.
It wasn't so much a prank, and I hate to say this because it's gonna sound like, but it was an experiment. It was like, because prank, and you get it because you're a comedian, but it's like it decimates what it is because people like, you ever have somebody come up to you and go, you can use that one of your little skits.
yeah.
I believe I own a house
Great
overlooking
point.
the valley. My little skits. You know
Great
what I mean?
point.
Oh, it's dismissive
Well,
as fuck,
I think too.
bro.
I think when you say prank, it's like, oh, he's a prankster.
Yeah, it's
there's something
annoying.
denigrating about it.
Yeah.
but having worked on pranks,
Yeah, it's difficult.
It's brutal work.
Well, I always say this is that there's no difference between me. I literally had the same nose that Nicole Kidman wore in Cold Mountain. She wins an Oscar, and I'm a goofball. It's bullshit. It's the not respective comedy. So to answer your question,
You're also on a jazzy on a scooter too. But I mean,
yeah, but
I mean, you're doing comedy.
that mountain was cold. So, but she won for the nose. You know what I'm saying? Because she looked different. So your question is, how has this media? How do I feel about it?
Well, how are you looking at it and seeing yourself in it or not in it?
Listen, all bets are off. All bets are off. Like,
Yeah,
it's
I know what you mean.
I'm very lucky. I believe my generation was the last to really put out a crop of people. And I think from there we've had smatterings. You know, we've had the Channing Tatums who are after me, the Jennifer Lawrences, obviously the Jenna Ortegas, the Michelle Barrett, different ones. But, you know, now you've got Timothy. But it's, you know, a pop here and a pop there. My era was you would pick 6 people from a movie and you'd see them from multiple movies.
Yeah.
So I'm very fortunate. And I'm not saying that everyone had different height levels, but, you know, you would know every star from I Know What You Did Last Summer and every star from Jeepers Creepers and every star from Scream.
When were you happiest?
Wait, I'm going to answer that. But so where it is now is like I'm lucky that I've made something that will stand the test of time, but it's if you want to create now more than ever, you got to do it yourself.
Yeah.
I don't think, you tell me if I'm wrong, there's a lot of movies. My last 3 movies were indies that I really liked and hopefully they'll work, but it's like there's not even really, they're not making $8 million comedies anymore.
Yeah.
And auditioning and sitcoms. Reba's got a new sitcom. I think that's the only one. Yeah. And it's all bets are off. If you really want to do it, use every platform and know which each platform is, which one's the one to promote, which one. I can get deeper on Rumble. I have to be more light on YouTube. I can go uncensored on Patreon. That's what you got to do if you want to do it. Or if not, I can just sit back, collect my residuals, and never do anything again.
What do you think about that?
But the happiness, it goes back and forth. I loved right around 97 to
and what were you doing then?
06, 07.
Right.
Those were
you
good.
Got the height of your success.
And it was like I could get a meeting and how can I say this? Because you're asking so many good questions, I want to address them properly. But I was telling somebody this the other day. Somebody came to me with an idea. So at the time, I would go on the MTV and they would hear any pitch because it was me. Then they would, one of my buddies was like a guy like you there, and he goes, we here's when we don't buy an idea off of you. And I said, why? And they go, because it has to be something that's not fireable, right? So I went from because they don't want to lose their job, right? So I went from just me getting a meeting to then when I did another show, I got to partner with Mike Fleiss, the executive producer of The Bachelor. Yeah. I had to go with another person. Then I went from a meeting to a partner to a meeting, a partner, and do you have a star attached? Then I went from a meeting, a partner, a star attached to who's your showrunner? Then it went from a meeting to who's your person of color, who's your female, who's this. Then it went from Zooms to now it goes to no meetings. And this, I have a project right now with 6 people on it, and And the good news is everyone watched the tape. I had to make a tape, and they all passed. And these are 4 people that you know are attached to it, are all names.
Yeah.
So now, and I heard that Netflix, when people come up to me and tell me stuff, Netflix, they don't want to hear. I talked to a humongous studio who said they have to pre-pitch them before they hear the pitch. In an email. One of the 6 studios told me this.
Wow.
One of the 6 studios said Netflix. So that means that they're the production company and they'll finance it and Netflix will distribute it and give them money against it. They don't want to hear it until they read it.
Uh-huh.
That is fucking loopy, bro. You know that.
Yeah.
And now it goes to, there's no MTV.
Yeah.
It's Rob Dyrdek and that's it.
Yeah.
So it's wild. So, dude, can I really be blunt? Tell me if I'm crazy. The business is so different. Is it done? I mean, I feel like I could move to Florida and still be as relevant as I've ever been.
Yeah.
Am I crazy? But I love LA.
It's just very different. It's very spread thin. And
Dude, there's studios opening in Vegas.
Yeah. Yeah, New Mexico, Netflix opened a big studio.
Yeah, but Netflix is not going to just audition you. Go, we want the funniest guy. Let's bring in everybody. Are they going to bring you into the room?
Yeah.
Are they going to let Jason Nash be? Or are they going to go, yeah, we like Jason, but I
hated all that stuff.
Do we need someone who might be bisexual or? I mean, that's just. Well, he was really funny. I know, but these were never questions.
Yeah, they have a quota they have to fill. Yeah,
bro, I auditioned for a TNT show and they wouldn't see me because they said, "Well, Jamie's not authentically gay." And my agent goes, "I don't know what he does at 7. Balls could hit his chin, and they didn't see me. Like that's not. So what's the answer to that question?
It's really good.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
It used to just be.
Did you ever find yourself in a moment when, at the height of everything, where you were like,
"This is a funeral"? He keeps going at the height.
No, I'm so fascinating.
By the way,
did you ever find yourself in a moment where you were like, "Damn, like, what the fuck? Like, how did I get here?" I guess what I'm looking for is like, you're in Vegas and freaking George Clooney standing next to you and Julia Roberts says, "Jump in the hot tub." I mean, not that, but did you ever have a moment like, okay, I had a moment when I was not that I've had nearly the amount of success that you had.
You've done great,
but one time, this would be mine. We were flown on a private jet and brought to an airport where there were 5 supercars waiting for us, and we got to drive them. So that would be mine, being like, I was like, holy shit, I can't believe that this is my life, And we got off it was for EA Sports, and they had a game. They have like some kind of driving game. So they set it all up. Was getting paid amazing. I think I made like $100,000 for it. Crazy. And that would be mine. That was my height. Do you have something like that? Or maybe yours is just being on set with somebody incredible, being like, "Oh my God, I can't believe I'm sitting across from Anthony Hopkins," or...
I mean, it wouldn't just be one.
Okay, so give me 1. Give me 2. Give me 3.
I mean, here's a simple one.
Yeah, simple's good.
But it's incredible. It was at, I believe we stayed... There's a hotel. We shot 3 Kings. We were going to shoot that in like Saudi Arabia. But it got too expensive. So we shot it in, I want to say outside of Chandler.
Yeah.
And I'd never really been to Arizona. And do you know the Beverly Garland where I got my start as a stand-up comedian down here?
Yeah.
It was a hotel like that. It was some resort in Arizona. And so we took over the whole resort. And I was like brand new to the game. And I just remember they had a little diner. And I just remember having breakfast, and George is like, "Meet me down there. We'll have some breakfast." And it was just me and George. And he was already on his way, but he was on the cover of everybody. It was, his beginning of his super movie stardom. And I just remember sitting there and thinking, this dude is so cool. Yeah. He is every bit the movie star that people say he is.
That's so fun.
And but he was just so cool.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I just remember just eating hash browns and like there, and he was just like, and we're talking about the movie, and he's like, "It's good, right?" And like he just was like wanted somebody to have breakfast with, and I was lucky enough to do that. So that was just an amazing.
What makes him cool?
George has an effortlessness about him.
Yes. Oh, yes.
You know, he doesn't really. You know, it's a smile and a wink. You know what I'm saying? He's just suave.
I know exactly what you mean.
He's suave as hell.
Mm-hmm.
Great looking guy.
Right.
Very naturalistic actor. I mean, he's never delivered a line that you didn't believe. You know what I mean?
And he has an incredible ability that, like, he could talk to anybody.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, as big of a star as he is, when you see, I don't know him, but whenever you see him interact, you're like, damn, that's cool. You know, like, from any walk of life.
You know, he gets out of a Porsche Roadster. In the right suit.
Yeah.
You know, he's a star. I mean, he's a superstar.
Three Kings, that's great.
Yeah, so but that was
about that one.
That was one. I remember
breakfast with George Clooney is the perfect answer. That's amazing.
Yeah, maybe that should just be
perfect. That's the perfect answer.
Yeah.
Damn.
But it's I can't even be. Here's what I think. I think that this, since we're on this, because you got me hype up.
Yeah.
You got to make a classic. And I'm lucky enough to be a part of some of them. And I think, I'm not saying classics can't be made now, but they have to be seen. Yeah. And it's harder to get these eyeballs. And you know, you can make a great TikTok, but is it going to stand the test of time? I mean, that's not a diss. It's not a diss. And you can make a ton of money on OnlyFans, but is it going to stand the test? I mean, like, what are we doing?
And the problem is we're in this era of ephemera.
Of what?
Era of ephemera.
What's that mean?
It's just, you know, here today, gone tomorrow. Tomorrow.
Quickly.
Oh, you mean 12-minute news cycle?
Well, yeah, but it's gotten into everything. I remember when I was beginning photography in the early 2000s.
Yeah,
it was still at the tail end of.
That's got to be annoying how everyone's a photographer now.
Well, back then, no. What's interesting is back then I was getting into it about 5 years before digital photography.
Yeah, and
my mentors were like old school. Like, you got to frame it right. You got to take your time. You had to take your time because it costs so much.
Yeah.
You know, and then what happened is I made a lot of friends that were real professional photographers.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, when the digital cameras came out and they started competing with those film cameras, what happened was it was a complete flip. It went from the importance was quality. And then as soon as the digital cameras came out, then it was the most important thing was speed.
Yeah.
And it really fucked up a lot of these old photographers that just couldn't drop it needs to be a perfect photo and the time frame. Like, it used to be back in the day, you'd shoot, like Sears would shoot 4 catalogs in a year. Mm-hmm. But now it's like they shoot content every fucking day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so, and now we're at that with comedy. We're at that with film. We're at that where it's like.
So you're saying we're okay with shit?
No, it's just, it's a different metric. Like, who has the time and the resources to make a really well-crafted, let's go to
a lot of people do.
Well, no. Let's go to like the pranks. Let's go back to the pranks. Like, the pranks that you did were actually well written, well thought through, where pranks now are just, hey, fart next to someone in a store and just like embarrass them. That's all it is.
What's crazy is that, yeah, like we did it, and you know, I think we got like 2 million viewers a week. Hopefully, that's what they said. But some of these pranks might have 40 million views. Yeah. So, I know what you're saying, and to add to that is, in a nutshell, is just think of it like this: when I started, Fox was still new, so you had ABC, CBS, NBC, PBS.
You're not going there.
No, and Fox.
Yeah.
Then UPN and WB. That's 6 spots.
Yep.
Okay. We're all going for a spot at one of those spots. So if we're climbing up the wall, 10 of us, you have to kick everybody or beat them to get that spot. Yeah. Now, think about this. you didn't even have FX, but if you did, it was reruns. Then they do original programming. Now let's do this with YouTube. Let's do this with Hulu. Let's do this with Snapchat. Like people, I hate to say fiefdoms again, but there's things within things within things within things within things. It's like the fucking back rooms. You know what that is? It's like there's so many walls and levels to content that you never even heard. And people can make a lot of money. People can be in obscurity. That ain't going away because we're inherently narcissistic and we're inherently like, I think they said it in The Social Network. Mark's genius wasn't making everyone's a narcissist. He realized that everyone is a narcissist. I think that was in the movie, and it's the most brilliant.
Now bring
line.
back that to the classics that you were talking about.
Well,
because I like where you're going.
Well, I mean, like
so that's going to give you no classics.
It's tough,
right?
I mean, when everyone is unified as a society, and we're going in and looking at something in a movie theater, and then you experience it that way for 4 or 5 months, like Scream, and then it drops on DVD, and you experience that for a while,
run.
And then it goes on pay cable, and then local cable, and then they make a sequel. There's a thing to this, and Scream is reborn for many reasons, but one of the reasons is the internet has given it life with Ghostface and memes and GIFs and scenes and recuts and all this stuff. Yeah. But we were able to have this branded thing. There's a huge new series called Terrifier, and they're about to have, looks like their biggest movie ever, Terrifier 3, and it's a horror. It's becoming a classic. And so you can break through these walls in different forms of movies, but it's just different because the eyeballs. Where are the eyeballs?
And the time that you have. Like this movie, Maxine, I went and saw. It was great.
People said it's great.
Saw it in the theater, but I'll tell you, I was one of 6 people in the theater. And, and it's a great movie, but I mean, how are people going to see it?
Yeah, because I think the movie business is dying, but then you have the big movies are still making money, right?
Have you ever auditioned for Marvel?
No.
Have you ever gotten a script? Like, I like the story you told about, when you were talking about Mel Gibson. And getting 4 tries to be, or you're going 4 times, which is insane to go in. Do you have other things like that you're like, I was supposed to be this, or I almost got this?
Yeah, I have a good one for that.
Okay.
Do we cut you off?
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, it's fine.
Do you have another?
I'm not the star.
Do you have another photo? Oh God, the star. Do you have another photo seminar you want to tell us? Jesus Christ.
Dick.
Edit!
I liked it. I thought it was interesting.
Or funny.
Never bugging you again.
Okay, there's a movie, because you audition again, these classics come out of like left field. So, God, I have to find the scripts too. So I had this, I can't believe it. I got rid of stuff. I get a script and it's about porn in the 70s and the transition from porn to the 70s to 80s. Yeah.
I think we all know what that is.
And it's called Boogie Nights. And so the casting director liked me, and she was so sweet, Christina Sheeks. And the producer of that was one of the producers on Scream. Yeah. So they saw me. And
script's good.
Huh?
Script is good.
It's incredible, but it's, I want to say 200 pages.
Yeah.
Like it was a fucking book, and it was like gripping.
Well, that's a long movie.
Well, it was like massively long, but it was like you couldn't put it down. I'm like, this is like a fucking epic, right? And it was like a huge thing. Like, how are they going to make this? It was a departure. It was why it's amazing art.
Yeah.
And I auditioned for Paul Thomas Anderson. I auditioned like twice, and I auditioned for the role of the guy that is in the back of the limousine with Heather Graham. And Burt Reynolds is filming, so it's from film where it was artful, taking it back to him, don't cry, to videotape, which is literally porn. It literally is the metaphor for everything, because porn has pioneered the internet. They pioneered the paywall. They pioneered a lot of things. And so this is an example of this. So porn considered itself very cinematic, which it was.
Yeah.
The 80s were like, get it in, get the pop shot, let's go, right? Because they were making so much money. So this scene was the transition into that. And Heather was doing a scene, and it was like, no, build up. It was like, get right to it. And Bert was filming me. And then they stopped the scene in the movie, and then she's like, I can't do this. This is stupid. Or Bert's like, cut, this is dumb. And then the character's left with the boner. He's like, come on. He's like, even though it cut, like, you'd at least give me a hand job or something. Or like, whack me off or something. So it was that scene, and he's like, what? And Heather curb stomps me.
I remember.
And Bert, and I was like, this is insane. I still have my contract, and I have the nudity rider, which I signed. And Bert, I was like, I'm going to get curb stomped by Bert. I'm going to get a sex scene with Heather. Life is beautiful. I get a role in a movie called Old Friends, which is James L. Brooks' movie, starring Jack Nicholson, which became As Good as It Gets. So 4 months in New York as a gay hustler. And I'm like, well, what's my role? They're like, well, you pop in here, say a line, pop in there. Because I had auditioned for James L. Brooks and Francine Maisler, and they liked me a lot. And we had lines, but he was also like, well, I'll play with you here, play with you there. So they said, we need you for the run of the movie, which was in New York in the fall of 96, and you're starting to get fame. I mean, anything better?
Right.
Yankees first year winning a World Series.
James L. Brooks, a massive
master
director. A master,
and Paul Thomas Anderson, also a master. And my managers call and say, you got to choose. Because you only have 2 days on Boogie Nights. One where they shoot you in class, and one where they shoot you in the limo. And I go, I got to do both. And I'm living in my studio in Highland, and I'm paying $530 a month. And I just got my first residual for Scream, which was $18,000, which I made on the movie, and I made 31,000 residuals. I was like, it was bizarre. And I'm like, I got to do both. And they're like, you can't do both. And I call the UP. I'm like, dude, he's like, I'm trying to work the schedule, mate. It's fucking hard, I'm trying to move this around. And I'm like, please. And I'm like, just ask. As good as it gets, please, they can just give me 1 day, whatever. Fly back, and they go off the plane, all this stuff, and it's Jack, and Jack has a thing, which he should. It's 10 door to door, meaning the minute you pick Jack up down the street from you, you got 10 hours to get whatever you need with him before he's back. That's it. It's called door to door 10. Okay?
Wow.
So
that's really cool.
Yeah. So if you're shooting in Malibu, you better plan that shit out, Travis. You got 10 fucking hours.
Got me for 10 hours.
Yes, exactly. I got a story with that.
Yeah.
And so, long story is that I had to pick, and I picked As Good as It Gets, which I'm so excited to be in.
Sure. Great movie.
But I'm just bummed that I couldn't have been in Boogie Nights. And then the guy that got it, which is wild, it's like The Matrix is real, was my buddy Kai from my acting class, whose brother was Kadu, who was a big photographer, took my early headshots, and Kai ended up getting it.
Wow.
So it was like my buddy, and he was great. And then another guy who was like, hey, what do you got, Donkey Dick? That was my buddy Shannon from another acting class. So it was weird how it was all tied together, and that one hurt. Because that's on the, but I mean, As Good as It Gets, I think it was up for Best Picture. I think Titanic.
Those are two.
I think it won. No, it was amazing.
was.
Jack won Best Actor. It won a lot of stuff. I think I'm incredible to be on, but you want to do both.
Well, you know what? Good on you, at least.
You want to do both.
You know what's nice is you knew. And that's all you can really congratulate yourself on. You knew how good it was going to be. And that's why you were fighting to do both, right? Because a lot of people probably would have read it and been like, because Paul Thomas at that time had only done Hard Eight.
Yeah,
right?
which was a great movie.
Magnolia too.
He hadn't done
No, it was
Magnolia
after.
yet.
Was it?
It was after. Yeah.
It was after.
Oh.
Yeah. So that was his thing. And of course, remember, Wahlberg was nobody. He was in the Funky Bunch.
He was starring in movies, but he
Was
didn't
he?
have marked. He starred in Fear.
Theater?
No, Fear.
Oh, Fear.
With Reese
right. He plays the boyfriend.
He was
That's true.
in Basketball Diaries. He was ready for his starring role. I think this was
You
one
ever
of his.
meet Leo?
That blew him up.
You ever meet Leo?
Of course, I was in Romeo and Juliet.
You and Romeo and Juliet?
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
He's my favorite.
Yeah. I mean,
Absolute.
Incredible.
Incredible.
Yeah. I mean,
he's the guy.
He is. He's the guy. I think every script goes to him first, and then everybody else.
Jamie Kennedy Experiment went to Leo first, right?
One can hope.
Wow. Well, what an awesome podcast. Where are we at?
I don't know, but we could go for another 2 hours.
We should let Jamie go home.
Yeah.
You could do one more.
Amazing.
Let me ask you
Go
this.
for it.
Let me ask you this.
Thank you.
Jamie, I'll ask you this, and Keto will cut this if you don't want to talk about it. Is there I heard Bert Kreischer talking about this, that there is a clip from Jamie Kennedy Experiment where you do blackface. Is that true?
Bert has talked about this.
I saw the only reason I know about it is because Bert said that it's the funniest video he's ever seen.
Yeah.
It's you and 3 6 Mafia,
Yes.
and it has been scrubbed from the internet, and
Yes.
that no one can see it.
Yes. Here's a couple things.
Okay.
I'll give you the first answer first.
Okay.
It's available.
Where?
There are copies.
Oh, there are. Okay.
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 They're probably hidden.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. I'll give you the scenario.
Okay.
So I did a show with my boy, Stu Stone. I think you know Stu. Great rapper.
Okay.
Actors and Donnie Darko, different things. MTV, before Robin Big, I had a show and they were like, well, what do you want to do? And I was like, you know, my movie bombed. And I was like, I want to do kind of like my own Curb Your Enthusiasm, but me for MTV. And they're like, okay. And they're like, well, you got to have a goal. And they're like, you like to rap. You did it in your movie. I'm like, yeah, but I'm acting. And they're like, well, what if your goal is you're going to be a rapper? And I was like, okay. And then we'll shoot your life. And I'm like, all right, so I'll just keep that as the goal. But really, I want to make it about my life. Yeah. Long story, it was one of the funnest things I ever did, but they made it very rap-centric. And it's called Jamie Kennedy's Blowing Up. And before I tell you what it was, just to let you know, we did it. We worked our balls off. It was an incredible time. MTV was incredible. Had an office on Broadway in Santa Monica. And then we premiered against Steve Nash's double overtime playoff win. And they had to cut the premiere short.
Oh, no.
Because they had a new show called The Hills.
What?
And that's history. Yeah, we didn't even air 4 eps. I think we had 4. We shot 6. So that's funny, right? At least The Hills became a thing and Steve Nash got the MVP.
Right, at
and
least.
me and Stu went to the Paramount Vaults.
And this is after...
This was after Son
Kennedy.
of the Mask, after Kennedy,
Experiment.
all this stuff, yes. And after this died...
I remember this show, I think.
This was the beginning of me getting a little frigid. So... Each week.
He was right. You are funny when you bomb. Jordan was right.
Each week we had a different goal and a guest star. So I forget, but Jessica's father, God, what's his name? The legendary Simpson manager.
Jessica Simpson.
Jessica Simpson. Her dad.
Yeah, I forget her dad's name.
But he was, Ryan Cabrera, Ashley, all that stuff. So we had a meeting with him. We had a meeting with Russell Simmons. We had a meeting with every episode. We had different people, and it was like me and my buddy. And there were like different things you could do to blow up in rap. Yeah. And I've never told the story anywhere, so if this is exclusive, you're getting it.
Amazing.
So we're shooting one ep, and so Tracy Morgan does the ep with his boy, who's hilarious, along with Tracy's, who's a legend, and they were like, you gotta get that cred, son. You gotta get that cred. Like you gotta be gully. You gotta go gutter with it. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, so what are you saying? They're going, you gotta get the respect of the streets. Yeah. And so we hire a makeup guy. It was part of our idea. And we turn, it's not blackface.
Right.
It's blackting. It's a blackter. It's a character.
Yes,
we went, I hate blackface is different.
Yes.
But people come from me, so go for it. But it was like, we did our own versions of Coming to America. And me and Stu became completely black.
Right.
And we look different. We sound different. It was a real acting exercise. Right. And then we meet Jason Biggs because he's my nemesis in it. And then I like
American Pie.
fuck with him because he was always beating me out for roles at the time. So I was like, yeah, what's up, Pa Humper? You fucking Pa Humper and all this shit.
Yeah.
And we meet him on the coffee shop and then he doesn't. And I go, hey, Jason, it's me. And I'm like, but talking, hey, buddy. And he's like, Jamie? I'm like, yeah, fuck you, Pa. Yeah, it's me. I'm going to be a rapper, asshole. And so we had all of this. And so it was, so then we go.
Yeah.
And so it's a soft scripted show. So 3 6 Mafia knew we were going to open for them because they were going to let Jamie and Stu, but they talked about how we need respect from the streets. So 3 6 didn't know that we were going to do this.
Wow.
So I think the show was at LBC, shout out. And it
Long
was
Beach?
Yeah, and it
Oh,
was
wow.
they had just won an Oscar.
Yeah.
And they introduced me and Stu, but we were like, we had a different name. I forget. We were like, coffee and cream or something. And we rapped, and those guys were like, what the fuck? And
How did the audience take the rapping?
the audience kind of liked it, and then we showed them that it was us, and then they got mad. And that was the test, because we couldn't rap as white guys, because you couldn't rap as a white guy. So we got them on our side, and then we pulled it off, and it didn't go well.
No.
And Juicy J, and they took care of us.
And what did 3 6 say?
They were completely surprised. They were baffled. And they said, never do that fucking shit again. Don't do that shit. And then the show got canceled.
And then did it ever air?
That never aired.
Yeah.
They took it off the DVD.
Yeah.
They scrubbed it from the internet.
Yeah.
I know 2 people that have copies. I was with one of them last week, and he's like, I got a copy of that. And it's this huge thing that, shout out Bert, who made it this thing. Because but it's not blackface. It was
Sure.
You used to be able to act.
Right.
Eddie Murphy was a white guy and coming to America, or Jewish, and he's brilliant and a genius, and it will never change.
Yeah.
But yes, it's out there.
Damn. That is an incredible story. Damn, you've been killing it today. I mean, you brought it.
Thank you, buddy.
As good as Dane Cook.
Really, really fun.
If not better. Sorry, Dane.
No.
I
Dane number 1, I'll be number
I do
2.
love Dane. All right, so what else? What are you going to do? What are you going to do now? Podcast?
I have my own pod. You should come on it.
Okay, I'll come.
Called Hate to Break It to You.
Love it.
I'm on tour.
Yeah.
I do cons all the time, conventions.
How's that? Yeah, doing cons.
And Jason, this is the new future.
I knew a girl that worked with people that did cons, and she said she worked with like a high level celebrity, and she said they make like $50,000 a weekend. Insane.
That's opening money.
Really?
Oh, it's totally different now. Here's what happened.
Wow.
Something happened after the pandemic,
Yeah.
and the live experience is where it's at. So he'll tell you, I do shows with him, and he'll do shows with people like me and other people, and it'll be a mix of people you don't know. And that's what's the beautiful thing now, like this democratic system. But the people will go crazy at these shows. They want to come out, right?
Yeah.
Comedy has been crazy. Festivals are crazy. And the cons are crazy. And here's my theory. NFTs, digital, all that stuff, that's where we're at. That's where we're going. Bitcoin, all this stuff. There's something about a tangible asset. Because I don't like clutter, but I do like one good collectible of something and then get rid of the rest. So Vidiots in Silver Lake is popping off right now. Quentin is redoing 3 movie theaters around town. So there's a movement, some vinyls getting hot again along with the hipsters. Where as annoying as hipsters can be, they do start trends. Yeah. So the collectible space is bigger than it's ever been. It's not just baseball cards. It's scream masks. It's shit. You and Dobrik eventually will be collectibles. Like I'm dead serious. Like early YouTube, pioneers, all this stuff is going to happen. Right. So people see these cons.
Let me make a call. Hold on.
Yeah. and what it is because of movies and different things are going away and TV, you get to see your star right in front of you. And you have a moment.
Yeah.
And
how many people you see in a day?
Bro, I see, at least an average weekend for me, I see 1,000 people.
Wow.
A little more, a little less. Some of my co-stars see 2,000, 3,000.
Wow.
But I'm going to tell you this. Why it's so big is because our business is shrinking.
Uh-huh.
And so it used to be the boulevard of broken dreams. It used to be the dirty little secret. You go to Virginia Beach, somebody hand you a bag with $12,000, you sign some pictures, you go away. No one knows. Now, fuck, dude, Susan Sarandon has 2 Oscars.
Yeah.
Whatever you feel about her politics, whatever, she's a legend.
Yeah.
She was there, Yeah. Mark Hamill, I was at one 2 weeks ago. I mean, Luke Skywalker, he is there.
Yeah.
Jeremy Renner, like Marvel people. I've seen everyone but Robert Downey Jr. pretty much. I mean, so it's going to be everybody except a few of the white wolves, meaning you're never going to see Brad or Leo.
Yeah.
But everyone else.
Right.
And the money is just incredible. And they love it. There's huge panels.
Mm-hmm. So you'll sit on a panel and talk about Scream or...
Dude, me and my co-stars from Scream have never been closer.
Wow.
We have a group text, we have dinners.
That's great.
We are in each other's lives. Like, I love them. I love the new cast. And then from that, I get to reconnect with people from Tremors, which I've done. And then I see people like Jason Lee from, and I did, Kevin Smith movie and Jane Silent Bob. And you just see, and it's this whole world now. But my whole theory is that they want, it's like we are living, I hate to say this because this is not everybody, but I'll just use myself. And I still do a lot of stuff, but I'm a living Throwback Thursday.
Yeah.
It's like people are going to the zoo, they're going to the museum, they're seeing what they love.
Yeah.
And it's incredible. But dude, as our business gets more and more condensed, this is going to get bigger.
Right.
And the agencies can't fuck with it.
Oh, yeah.
The best agents are people like my agent and other agents who started out as fans of it, so they know the world. Like CAA, no offense, CAA, because they don't know the world.
Right. So you have your own agent that does
I have all my agents the best. Yeah. So it's like...
That's really cool.
Dude, it's incredible. The fans are incredible.
So you go Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah. I guarantee you would do well.
Let's do it.
Have you ever done it?
No. I would love to
Have you ever had a request?
No, I've never seen a YouTuber do it.
But what about VidCon and stuff?
VidCon, they don't pay you. VidCon does not pay.
Do you know BravoCon? There's different cons for different things. That's all Bravo
VidCon
stars.
Doesn't pay the
They
creators,
don't.
No.
I thought they...
They'll give you a pass and a long walk from the parking lot. That's it.
Well, anyway, it's incredible.
Yeah, let me know. We can talk about it.
I'm doing that. I'm doing comedy.
Great.
I got a couple movies. Hopefully they'll come out independent, like you said.
You ever audition for Quentin?
No, that would be incredible.
That would be sick.
I think he's kind of like knows who you are, and it's either like if he likes you, maybe he'll bring you in. You know what I mean? But I think he's probably like one of those guys that knows everyone. And
he stopped. He's done.
No.
Yeah, he's done.
No way.
He retired. He was gonna make this last movie, and then now he's not doing it. I don't think.
No way.
Yeah.
I hope not.
I hope not either. All right, Jamie, thank you for being here. Guys, go follow Jamie's podcast will be linked below in the description. Go check him out at all the cons. He's going to Virginia Beach. He's going to be in New York doing comedy in September. New York Comedy Festival? Is that what it is?
No, New York Comedy Club. I'm going to be at Scarefest in Lexington, Rhode Island Comic Con. I'm going to be in Texas.
You get to do all those horror fests.
Yeah.
Those are big.
Go to my website.
That's why. You've got your horror fans.
Horror fans.
Oh, those are great fans.
Yeah, they're incredible.
All right, Jamie, thank you. Keita, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, all right. We'll see you next time, guys. Bye-bye.